found out later that Jesus is the only one who has the ability to live the Christian life, and he wants to live his life in and through us. And so I wanted to be the perfect Christian, and then I got married. Hi, Cassie! Oh my God, I love people. And then I got married, and I wanted to be the perfect wife. And so I just would strive, to do that. I had a huge anger problem, and it really wasn't that I was mad at my family, it was that I was mad at myself. Anytime that I made mistakes, and anybody ever been mad at yourself for making a mistake? And then I had twin girls. Actually, we didn't have our girls till we were married 11 and a half years. And then I wanted to be the perfect parent. So this was just, it's impossible. I mean, we actually are flawless in Christ.
Yeah.
That's who we are in Christ. But in ourselves, we're going to make mistakes. We're human, And I would just condemn myself every time that I would do something wrong. Well, that was a lot of guilt and condemnation over the years, And what I would do, because of this striving, I would always measure myself, is I would get up in my mind. Literally, before I even put my feet on the floor in the morning, when I woke up, I would get up on my treadmill of accomplishment, and I would run in my mind. I would run on that treadmill because I needed to get worth and value, and I needed to do several things. I had 2 lists: a spiritual to-do list and a natural to-do list. I was a list maker. There's nothing wrong with making lists, but I got my identity out of getting check marks on that list. And so, like on the spiritual side of things, I would just say to myself every day, "Yep, Sandra, you got angry yesterday, and you need to be better today than you were yesterday." So I would always think, how could I improve myself? How could I be better? And I wanted to get those check marks. I was running on that treadmill all day long. Then I had my natural to-do list. I was a list maker, and my list was so ridiculous. Like, nobody in their right mind could ever do all the things I had on my list. But once in a great while, I would get everything in my mind checked off my list that I thought I was supposed to do, and I'd have a good, victorious day or whatever. And I would let myself off that treadmill, but not for very long, because, right, Sandra, we got momentum going. We got to keep going on this. Because I thought, okay, now, in my mind now, God's pleased with me, okay? And so I just lived in so much stress, anxiety, and frustration. That's why I was mad a lot. It's because I was always trying to be okay. I never felt okay. I was always trying to be something other than what I was, and I was never good enough for myself. And then, on top of that, I did allow the devil to bury me under guilt and condemnation. And I'll tell you, that's another thing. A large majority of the church is living under guilt and condemnation. I look out every time I tell my testimony and I see people crying. Because the devil wants to bury us under guilt and condemnation. And we let him do it. And I'll tell you how I got free from that later. But I'm telling you, every time I did something wrong, if I screamed at my kids, which I did. I didn't abuse them physically, but I'll tell you what, I feel like I did emotionally, because they didn't know what I was going to be like from moment to moment, how I was going to react, And so they were really happy when I got a grace revelation. And I also read the Bible wrong. And I'm going to give you a little example. I've only preached for 6 minutes so far. And I read the Bible wrong because I saw the Bible through the lens of the old covenant of the law, instead of the new covenant of grace. So I did not see Jesus in the Bible. Like, all I saw was, I'll just pretend. What rule is there to follow in this verse so I can do it? Because I need to do that rule so God can be pleased with me. So, I had devotional time every morning, really. I was committed to that, but I didn't do it out of devotion. I did it out of duty, because I thought God would be mad at me if I didn't. So everything I did in life was, number one, to impress people, because I wanted people to perceive me as this perfect Christian, this perfect wife, this perfect mother, spiritual giant, all that stuff. So it was really to impress people. That's what it comes down to. That's why I did what I did. So I went that way, for 34 years. And I am going to I don't always tell this part of the story, but I'm going to tell you how sick I got. And I believe I got sick, well, I believed it was because God was punishing me for not being a good enough Christian at the time that this happened. But now I know that's a total lie. But I believe that I did probably get sick from the stress. Stress makes people sick, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't remember, let's see, it was 2000, it's probably like 2000, 2-year health nightmare. I call this my 2-year health nightmare, probably 2010 or something. I was sitting in a restaurant with a group of ladies, and all of a sudden, and I just went to the restroom, and all of a sudden, this pain, just major pain, like I almost fainted. I was sitting in the bathroom floor. I had to call my friend and say, can you come help me? But I mean, if you know me, I don't sit in the bathroom floor. I don't even look at the floor, hardly, because I'm like I like everything clean and germ-free and all that. I'm not a germophobic, it's not that bad, but for me to be sitting in the bathroom floor, I was bad. And so she came, she did rush me to the hospital, and they found a cyst. That cyst was, not this size when it first started, but I was in so much pain. I was rolling around the hospital bed. They had to give me morphine, all this stuff. And it was a cyst, that showed up on the CT scan. Well, that cyst grew to the size of a cantaloupe. And, and the doctor wanted to take that out. And I said, oh, no, I'm going to wait. I'm believing God, which I wasn't believing God because I believed he punished me and put that. I believed he did that to me because I wasn't being a good enough Christian. That's how messed up I think he was, okay? And, but I didn't realize this now at the time. I didn't know that I was believing all these lies. You know what I thought? I thought, well, I'm doing the Christian life the way you're supposed to. I mean, it's not working. I'm not living in peace, but that just means I need to try harder. So I'm just going to try harder, which is why my book's called I Tried Until I Almost Died. And so I had that cyst. I did finally let the doctor take it out for a surgical procedure through robotic surgery, but he accidentally nicked, because it was so big, it was hard for him, nicked my ureter tube. So the cyst was gone at that time, but then my ureter tube was nicked, and I was nauseous for about 6 weeks. I thought, I'm just recovering from surgery. But my husband said, you need to tell the doctor your 6-week checkup. So I did, and the doctor said, we need to check you to make sure that your ureter didn't get nicked, because he knew that sometimes happens. So it did, in fact, get nicked. They had to put a stent in my ureter tube. I didn't know what a ureter tube was at the time, but it's the tube that runs between your bladder and your kidneys. And so, on the right side. So they put a stent in, that wasn't comfortable. And so then they were hoping it would heal in the open position. And for 2 weeks, and then they took it out, and when I woke up from that procedure, I got some of the worst news I've ever been given. The doctor said it didn't work, it closed right back up when we took that stent out, and you have something now called hydrophenosis. Well, really, I had it before too when it was nicked. And so they said, we're gonna have to put a nephrostomy tube in your back, like cut your back, and put a nephrostomy tube in your back, down your kidney, and down in, that's the way we're gonna have to get a stent in there. And so they did that, and they left that in for 2 months. Again, I thought, okay, I'm gonna believe God for, that this is gonna heal in the open position. And that was the goal, but again, when they did that, when they took that out, it closed right back up. And I was just devastated. And then I got sepsis. Like, before I left the hospital, I got sepsis. I was chills, vomiting. I mean, I really thought I wasn't gonna make it out alive. And so, all this time, I'm believing God, because of some choices I've made, because I'm not living the Christian life the way that, you want me to, you're allowing this in my life. I'll never teach anybody that again, believe me. Now you know why, Pastor Greg. I've played that video by you that you did at Shannon's funeral several times, because it's so important to me that people believe right about God. Yes. That's so important. He's so good. He would never do anything bad to us. And I will never, ever, no matter what I ever go through in my life, I'm telling you, I will never believe that about him again. He's good and only good. We may not understand everything, but he is good. He is good. He doesn't even have the ability to be anything but good, you know?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I woke up from that procedure. I was in the hospital for probably like a week with that sepsis. Did get out, and then I had to, thank God, he did connect me with a doctor from Washington University, which is a very good hospital and university in Missouri, where I live, and that doctor did a double surgery. He fixed the ureter, repaired it, and he took out, well, the cyst had started to grow back. I forgot to tell you that. The cyst that they took out started to grow back by this time. I'm like, okay, what else can go wrong? And by the way, I forgot to tell you, when I had that nephrostomy tube in me, I was in the most pain I've ever been in my life. It was sitting on a nerve or something, and I would sit and I would sob. I mean, I was taking pain medicine, and it wasn't doing nothing. And so anyway, thank God, the doctor was able to repair that, and it has been great ever since. The only time it has flared up is when I eat a ton of sugar, which I do like, but God helps me with that. And if you see me eating in Danish, don't judge me. And because it can cause, in my body anyway, sugar can cause inflammation, so that's already kind of inflamed over there, so it can cause pressure on that. But you know what, I don't need to be living on sugar anyway, so
that's
good.
Right.
There. And so after that happened, I was so tired, guys, from trying to live the Christian life for 34 years, and then this 2-year health nightmare on top of it. I was exhausted. And I remember at the end of 2011, right after Christmas one year, I just told God, I can't do this anymore. This was my place of coming to the end of myself. And honestly, it was a very, very important day in my life. I said, I can't do this anymore, God. I can't live the Christian life. And then I said, I need serious help. Thank God I asked him for help, right? Because really that day, I honestly think I was so done. I was like, it's not working. Christianity doesn't work. I really think I was threatening to quit Christianity. And it's not that it doesn't work, it's that I was doing it wrong. I was in self-effort mode. I wasn't living my Christian life under grace because I didn't even understand what grace was. I'm not saying I wasn't taught. I just did not understand. I didn't get it. And so 1 week later, I was having my devotional time. So I guess I didn't quit Christianity. Because a week later, I was having my devotional time at 5:30 in the morning, had my Mac journal open, and I was asking the Lord, is there anything more? See, we rest sometimes. We rest for works. I said I give up. And then the next week, is there anything more you want me to do for you this year, Lord? Because it was the new year, and New Year's resolutions. And I felt the Father say to me in my heart, no, Sandra, there's nothing more I want you to do for me. And then I felt right then the love of God, like a tidal wave, just sweep into the room. Wow. I was engulfed in the love of God. And I felt the Lord spoke some things in my heart. And one of the things he said was, I love you for you, Sandra, not for anything you do for me. I love you because you're my child. Period. End of the conversation. And I felt like he said that day, you're okay. See, I always was trying to be okay. That's why I was measuring myself all the time. And I am telling you, I didn't know what had happened that morning. That morning, I remember, after that, a couple of hours, I had an encounter with Jesus. That's what happened. I had an encounter with the person of grace. Jesus is the person of grace. Grace is not a message. It's just not like one message. Grace is the gospel. That's grace right. Is the good news. Grace is the person. Jesus is the person of grace. So that day, I had an encounter with grace. I had an encounter with Jesus. And the next morning, that day I just went, oh wow, that was a great devotional time. That's what I said. And the next morning, I woke up, and I kid you not, the treadmill was gone. I had no desire to run on a treadmill for worth and value anymore. He did in me what I could not do in myself, all those years of striving and struggling. And so what happened is I just began to respond in peace. Like I didn't live in peace before. That's what the subtitle of my book is, From Anxiety and Frustration to Rest and Relaxation. I didn't live in peace before that. Like I just was, everything freaked me out. But now the same types of things, challenges and things were happening. was so weird to live that way because I wasn't used to that. But it kept on day after day. And what was happening was God was showing me a revelation of his grace, of the riches of his grace and his love and grace, and just that I was unconditionally loved, not for what I did, but just for whose I am.
Yeah.
And I just felt the Father's love. I mean, I still live in his love. Like I love to receive his love. Like it is one of my favorite things. So, in the days and months and years following that, he just opened up my eyes to this revelation of grace, and it's a journey, so I'm still learning. I'm never going to stop learning. And so one of the things that happened is, well, I know that year in July, I read Joseph Prince's book, Unmerited Favor, and I don't even know how I knew to read it. God, it was just God. And I mean, I sat on my back deck, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I've been robbed. I mean, God was just opening up my eyes to the beauty of his grace, and I was like, it's all about Jesus. Oh my gosh. That is the greatest thing that God has ever done for me.
Yeah.
Is he took my eyes off of me,
Yeah.
Sandra McCollom, and he put them on Jesus. And I'll tell you what, when I keep my eyes on Jesus, to this very day, I live in peace.
Yeah.
I live in rest. Sometimes I forget, and I still get my eyes back on myself sometimes. So when I would say I live in peace probably 95% of the time. That's a miracle from where I came. But sometimes, I'm going to end this with a story. Sometimes I forget. And so I want to show you the difference in my relationship with God now than what it was before. So recently, probably about a couple months ago. Well, first of all, I have a garden. I have some gardens, flower gardens. I love that. I didn't even know I loved it until a couple years ago, and I just love being creative with flowers and landscaping. And I noticed it everywhere. I mean, I got out of my car this morning and I saw that line of trees. I was parked on the side of the building. I was like, I wonder what kind of trees those are. I wonder what they look like in the spring. I mean, I'm drawn to that kind of stuff. And so I had started this garden project last summer, and it was hard work, like digging. Well, first of all, in Missouri, it's very rocky. The soil is very rocky, so to dig one hole, it takes an hour sometimes. And the heat this summer has been horrendous. As you guys know, who even live here in Tulsa, I know yours is, I think, been maybe even worse than ours. But I mean, we had lots of 100-degree days, and I still was working out there. I would just take breaks, as I needed them, which was often. And but it makes it a little more frustrating when you're trying to dig a hole full of rocks in the heat. So anyway, I had plans that my garden project was going to be finished this day, about 2 months ago. Finally, after a year, my garden project is going to be finished. And I know it sounds weird to do a garden project for a year, but I mean, we took all our old mulch. I did really almost all the work myself. And so, although it was creative, it was very hard work, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to do the next thing in life, okay? I'm ready to be done with this. And so, in my mind, I began to believe a lie that if this isn't finished today, I'm a failure. So that's what leads to us living a life of frustration and anxiety, is we believe lies sometimes. I didn't know I was believing a lie yet that day, but then I got mad. In fact, I stood in front of Steve and I said, when is this garden project going to be done? And because I was transplanting some rose bushes and I was trying to dig those holes and they were taking too long, and then I went into the panic mode that I reverted back to before my grace revelation, when I used to run on that treadmill. At the end of every day, almost every day, I would go into panic mode because I wasn't going to get my list checked off. And I got to get it checked off, I'm not going to be worth anything. Well, I reverted back to that. I forgot who I was for just a few minutes. And I got upset. And I mean, I was upset for a while, and I was just like, I even said, I'm not repenting. I'm not going to repent. I'm not going to say sorry. I am going to get this garden project done today. I don't care how hard I have to work. I mean, I was really in self-effort mode, right? Well, that went on for a little while, but then I wore myself out because it doesn't work. And so, thank God, I don't even want to live there anymore. I mean, deep down inside, I might get in the flesh once in a while and do that, but so I went up, I said, okay, I know, God, I gotta stop. I went upstairs, I sat at my table. What I would have done before, guys, before grace, is I would have just allowed the devil to bury me under guilt and condemnation for how I just acted, feeling that way, and yelling, even though I wasn't yelling at Steve, yelling in front of Steve. It's no fun if somebody's yelling right in front of you, it's uncomfortable for the other person. And I would have let the devil bury me under guilt and condemnation. But this day, because of what I've learned, I sat at my kitchen table and I said, I'm sorry, Father. I said, I know I'm in self-effort mode. I know I'm not receiving your grace. I said, I don't want to do this though. I want to do it your way. I want to let you help me, and I'm not a failure. I'm not a failure. It doesn't matter if the garden project gets done today.
Sorry.
And you're not, and another thing on top of that is I know you're not displeased with me, God. You love me. You've forgiven me already for what I just did, because you've forgiven me for all of my sins, past, present, and future. So instead of me going into self-effort mode, trying to fix, I can't never do that again. I can't do that. I can't feel that. I can't feel that anger. I just received. And that's my favorite thing to do in the whole world, is just receive the love of God. I received his forgiveness afresh. I received the truth that I am the righteousness of God in Jesus Christ. And that is what changes us. I call it the miracle of grace. When we receive grace, is unmerited favor, whether we're having a good day or a bad day, it changes us at the very core of our being, and it causes us to fall in love with Jesus so deeply. And I cannot tell you. I mean, before it was like, I've got to love Jesus more. I've got to love Jesus more. I've got to think about him more. Now it's just so natural. I'm just a daughter of the King. I mean, I'm like a little kid in God's love for me. And that day when I got that grace revelation, I remember going around my house going, I'm okay. I'm okay. Jesus loves me. God loves me. I'm okay. I'm okay. I still live like that, like a little kid in his love. And I'm on a journey, and I want to keep receiving his love. And I encourage you to join me on this journey, because it is life-changing. God bless you. 24 minutes and 47 seconds. God is good.